Mind racing, I'm crazy, I'm just a psycho. No telling how far I'll go, so they better lie low. Mind racing, I'm crazy, I'm just a psycho. Yeah, 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 yeah. Psycho. I'm litty, they numbers do not match the standards. So I'm from a gritty on China's. T'Challa, I'm really a panther. I don't want your pity, I'm ready, let's get it. I'm about to make this shit an anthem. Take me for the body like let's go. You lanes really get me upset though. T-Rex such a nigga with snatch yo. I won't utter smoke like petrol. Gas to the mass on day, whoa. Bad shit get trash on set, bro. Psycho, they call me your idol. Won't watch you do that slow, I'ma answer to the bio. Tell her how far I'll go, so they better lie low. Mind racing, I'm crazy, I'm just a psycho. No tell her how far I'll go, so they better lie low. Mind racing, I'm crazy, I'm just a psycho. Yeah, 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 yeah. Psycho.
Waste your time, lingering, pondering, save your space and wine. You are not a tree, just move if you don't like where you are, where you are, where you are. Every time I think about all the things I live without, motivates me, it's a do or die. Fear, no fear, it's worth a try.
I lost people over petty. I don't regret it, and every time I think about it, all the time my heart forgives. I have given everything, but it's not enough. Fear, no fear, my heart can't stop. 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 You a meaning to erase your every morning. Just open up your eyes and you'll see that there's a meaning to the love-hate relationship. To the haters that wants that great, I can't hide from my fears no more. I can't hide from my fears no more. I lost people over petty shit. Every time I think about it, all the time my heart forgives. Giving everything, but it's not enough.
Kiss your words away, do not waste your time. Lingering, pondering, save your space and wine. You are not a tree, just move if you don't like where you are, where you are, where you are. Every time I think about all the things I live without, motivates me, it's a do or die. Fear, no fear, it's worth a try.
I lost people over petty. I don't regret it, and every time I think about it, all the time my heart forgives. I have given everything, but it's not enough. Fear, no fear, my heart can't stop. No fear, my heart can't stop. No fear, my heart can't stop. No fear, my heart can't stop.
You were like a ransom note. If I give in, will you come home? I put everything I had into getting you back. I was only 17, and you were the air I breathed. I walked across a burning bridge for you, for you. Those roads we walked, I'll know forever. Those times we talked, I still remember. Is it not enough that I played with my heart once, twice? If I'm blind to who you are, which of us was behind bars? Were you worth the price I paid? Your ransom. I tried to find a way to justify missing the signs I knew. My hands were tied the moment we met, and there was more to you. You were only 17, and I was your sick release. A hostage on a silver plate to you, to you. Those roads we walked, I'll know forever. Those times we talked, I still remember. Is it not enough that I paid with my heart once, twice? If I'm blind to who you are, which of us was behind bars? Is it not enough that I barely got out with my life? I still carry every
everyone, and welcome back to the Arena Clash studio here for another week of Rainbow Six. I am Fluke, as you have seen on the previous week. Unfortunately, Ollie cannot join us, but very fortunately, we've been blessed by the effervescent presence of a man you all know and love. Thank you very much for joining us this week, Panky.
Blessed is a strong word.
It's a word I'm sure chat would agree with now. As we come into the second week now, I will quickly just start this off by saying you may have seen a couple of different team names on the screen. We had a few problems getting our teams up and running today. So we do have two games. We have all of that sorted now. It's going to be the Lakeside Leviathans versus the Humber Hunters, and the second match will be the Ballymena Bears versus Manchester Swarm. So for now, we fingers crossed on that one.
Hold a breath.
Yeah, that's all good. But as someone returning to the studio, returning to the presence here that you once cast, so I'm trying to think how long ago it was now.
Last time I was in this studio.
This
would have been, it's almost 2 years now. Last time I did belong Arena Clash, we were in the arena, so to speak, next door.
Well,
so
that was
they
it.
moved
they
me around in this building two or three times. So yeah,
we have a studio now. There's a full studio with the real cameras and everything. What are you looking forward to seeing? What do you think you're going to have from these games today?
I'm just looking forward to get back into this side of Siege. I watched the invitation the last few weeks. I still keep up with much Pro League here and there, but nowhere near as much as obviously I used to and enjoy. And just, I don't know, it's very nostalgic, but also I'm incredibly nervous, probably more so than some of these players. So,
I mean, the thing is, so the players, obviously, they've been very grateful for stepping in. If you're watching SI, I'm going to warn you, it might not be quite as intense as the game. A little bit of an idea, yeah, but we still will have some of these moments. I know that we had some pretty amazing moments last week, which is technically, I'm going to say last week because it's week 1 to week 2, but it was 2 weeks ago because of SI. We had a bit of a break in between. There was some moments, there was some on both ends of the quality spectrum.
There always is. As I was saying, like, this is obviously it's entry-level competition, as anyone can sign up. There's always going to be a spectrum, but moments of brilliance in every team, and at the end of the day, you've still got 2 Siege teams with 1 win and 1 loser. So how they get there, it could be debated. Is it the right way or the wrong? It doesn't matter. They got there. There's a winner.
That's exactly it. And I believe we're going to jump into the rosters for the first teams very soon. I'm going to say that with a bit of trepidation because, as you may have seen with the clock being pushed back, it was all very last minute of us to be able to get this. But we'll actually jump into the tables first, actually. The tables is probably a better idea. Thank you, voice inside my head that tells me the right things to throw onto screen. Here are the tables. Now, it's actually 2 different tables. There's a group 1. This is the top of Group 1. Harriers, Saints, and Claymores all on 2 victories. So Harriers, obviously, it's hard to tell at the beginning of the season just who is where, really.
Yeah, so when we've got such huge groups, there's 11, I believe, in Group 1 and 10 in Group 2. So, okay, we're starting to see a couple of teams edge out, but that's not to say that they're necessarily going to stay in these upper-end positions, and there's the bottom half of the table. So you see Hunters were in 6th place right at the bottom half of that first graphic, and Leviathans now here at the bottom on this graphic, but that doesn't necessarily mean that Leviathans are the worst in this group. We've still got a lot of games to play and a lot of matches to see, and a lot of chances for them to step up and start getting some points.
That's exactly it. And obviously, with a game like Siege as well, you never really know these points if it was kind of round-based or if it was a 7-0 split, as we saw from one of our games last week, to a 7-4, which was a much kind of tighter experience. Here on the top of the second group, we can see the Ballymena Bears. They got one of their victories and lost their others, and the Leviathans currently, unfortunately, sitting in the lower half of the table again. So we've got another one of these kind of splits. It's not a 2-0 team versus an 0-0 team. It's a 1 versus a 0. It's, as you said, it's tight games and tight possibilities tonight.
Yeah, and there's the bottom half of the other table then. Steelers, Swarm, Smugglers, Vikings, and Enigmas, but only 3 of those still looking for points. And this is, as you mentioned, the other thing that comes with Siege especially, perhaps more so than so many other shooter games out there, is that map knowledge and your strategies on maps vary so dramatically and are so specialized that, yes, we could be seeing these teams here that are down 2 losses, but they could have just played 2 maps that are not their favor. There are other 3 or 4 in the map pool could be fantastic. They could blow us all away at those, but they haven't had a chance to show them out yet. And because it's a slightly different format with technically best of 1 each week at the moment, if they get the wrong map or they get someone that they're not so strong on, which is this tier of competition with revolving teams and with the availability that Arena Clash brings, drastically changes the game. So there's so much that's still undetermined in that table.
And I think it's the fun thing of all of this stuff as well. As you said, this is an entry-level tournament. It's an entry-level tier. It's a place where a lot of people, yes, they might be smashing through ranked, they might be smashing through these experiences, but having a comp experience, being on stream especially and being casted, we know is something that can shake a lot of players, even throughout a lot of tiers. There are players that come to this kind of scene, and it's a nice place to kind of, in a league like this, to develop those skills, develop those kind of levels. But those early weeks, they're your shaky weeks. They're the ones where it's still a little bit much hitting that 7-0 or hitting those kind of heavier rounds and longer rounds. And it's an experience that can cause some people to kind of walk out and walk back in and have these unfortunate experiences as the games go on. But it's, we'll see this stuff develop as the season goes on.
And from a caster point of view, while we bring up the rosters, the common trope that a lot of the newer teams and the newer players will fall down to on these kind of stages is taking too long to get things done and running down the clock. So from our side of it, where we want exciting games, we want explosive games, people running and shooting each other, that's one, what they need to be doing to speed things up. Two, it's what gives us something fun to shout about.
Oh, exactly. And the thing is, everyone's trying to make their highlight reel. Everyone's trying to bring themselves on the ace. Everyone's trying to pull off the kind of maneuvers that to be fair, we saw a bit from the Saints 2 weeks ago, last week. Where they were 7-0. It was a very comfortable win for the Welsh team, and they started team killing and the whole mess of things. And there's that point where they're getting confident, but you kind of want to see a team like that get struggled, because that when they're pushed, they might be able to do some exceptional things. Talking of players, though, Humber Hunters, we can see Brandon, Madtech, Joe Waddy, Plagueis the Woke, Devil Knight 666, and Shazap. Obviously, one of those will not be playing today against Webby, Slicks 298. TFCN, OAG Gaming, and Josh.
Yeah, there's always, I think that's one of my other favourite parts about this tier of competition is the variety of names.
The matchup of Devil Knight 666 and Josh. The people have been calling for that for years.
But then you have Plagueis the Woke, which is...
Yes.
It's got to give extra credit to that one.
Very well put together.
Yeah. A lot of effort that's gone into that.
We do, obviously, talking of maps, we have our lovely new map ban thing, which we'll get into in just a second. But for those who are unaware, we are running with the standard 7 map pool that you see across the board of comp. Keep everything kind of nice and tidy. So these are maps that these guys will be familiar with because A, they're playing them a lot of the times, but B, they're ones where you're watching them no more so than last week. I'm assuming all of these guys are watching SI. I'd
imagine so.
Yeah, it was
I hope so.
It was on a lot of eyes. It's the first time a lot of other people have turned to our esport and gone, hey, all right, Rainbow Six, that's good. So we'll have a look at the map bans now, and we'll see what these guys and where they decide to go. It's a simple ban. Yep. Best of one pick is the final one. It's a leftover, so it's a neutral ground system. Yeah, which you can't really hate the neutral ground, really.
Nope, I like it. We'll see as they open up, and there's obviously a few things which are expected or predictable these days. We're kicking ourselves off with Border, which obviously been around the block for plenty of years at this point, and one of the few
to see it go.
To say untouched. And it's nice to see difference in our maps.
That's the thing. And closely followed by Bank. Bank is one of those maps that's a bit strat heavy. It's a little bit more malleable than a map like Border. They've kind of gone with almost the two ends there. You would say Villa might be the furthest end, or maybe Cafe on the tactician side. But teams like this, where they're often pickup teams, they won't really have those work together strategies, those work together plans and ideas. So they're probably going to try and avoid that. Coastline is the next one removed. It's a very aggressive map.
What I was going to add to Bank is that it was still largely is one of the bigger maps. One of the maps that's harder to play for new teams because you have so much or so little time on such a huge map to get things done. And then we followed up with the Coastline ban, which is the exact opposite. It's such a small map, and you can rotate so quickly and get everywhere so fast that it's the other end of the spectrum to what Bank is. So see both gone, kind of we're going to sit nicely in the middle here.
Yeah, it does seem like one team is banning out the big strat heavy maps and the other team is banning the tight quick firefight maps. So this is really two different levels of play. This is almost like seeing the difference between, LATAM bans and kind of APAC bans here, and they're bringing it all together. Consulate, which does leave Cafe on the table, which I'm quite...
We're down to 50-50. What's your call?
I want a Cafe. I love a good bit of Cafe.
I'll be down for a Cafe.
It's exciting. Obviously, you haven't casted the new Cafe as far as I know, so that'll be a good experience. And it is actually going to be Cafe. There we go. What a way to come back in. Back in with casting and back in with a map that you haven't had a chance to cast yet.
I'm going to get some names wrong.
It's fine. Don't worry. I think, if anything, so will I. But it's a very, very good map. Cafe is often often still seen as defender-sided. It's one of those new ones where, again, people are working it out. For those more familiar with older Cafe, it does still have some of that kind of ideas of breaking via the top, but now that is much more feasible. You go in through the Heaven Hatch or the New Balk Hatch, you kind of take control of Piano and Cigar, which is a much more kind of fun situation, and then you drop yourself back in, and then from then it's a steady clear downwards. But it's a good map. It's feasible now.
Yeah, it's far more viable and far more accessible than it once was. But with all those bans done, with all our players listed, with our map chosen, let's get into it and find out how this actually plays out. Kicking us off with our bans then are the Leviathans. And at this point, there's so many operators to choose from. Remember, the newest two are, of course, still disabled for competitive play, but everyone else is still on the board and available. And they're really taking their time with this first choice.
You would think they would be a bit quicker about it for reasons that maybe us getting them involved here, and they might have already sorted some stuff out and worked stuff out. But hey, maybe they're using this time to bring a bit of drama, which I'm never going to dislike.
They went no ban.
Oh.
Interesting.
Okay.
The other thing to note is, unrelated to the no ban, but of course those that haven't seen via social media right now, is that Clash is globally disabled.
Oh yes.
In the game as a whole, so that obviously follows over into the tournament. So that even if she was still pickable in custom games, we've banned her on an admin level at this point, so she's gone. But Blackbeard then the first actual ban to be put in by the Hunters, and they want to follow it up with their first defensive ban.
I'm humming a Blackbeard ban on Cafe because there's so much that you can take out of a Cafe. The most common at the minute is a Thatcher ban to really limit the amount of hard destruction you can do on places like the basement point around the kind of bakery side. Blackbeard doesn't offer a lot. Like, sure, you can put him on top of the hatch on the top of the roof, you can put him on the kind of windows along that top floor point, maybe, but from that position, that's 1 point, and how much of a kind of worry and how much of a precipice that you're going to push him off of there for you to warrant not taking out of a lot of different attacker operators, especially when your opponents are being bold enough to play a no ban. I am a bit curious about that ban.
Yeah, we'll see what Leviathans, if they even choose to do a second ban, they might go with nothing again, looking at the way this is ticking.
Are they AFK?
They have gone with no operator again. It's possible. AFK is a good point. Something reminded me as well. Last time I cast a Belong game, last time I cast a Siege game, it was Arena Clash still on the Xbox.
Oh, really? Wow.
Now that we're on PC season,
PC's jumped
back
it.
and fresh.
There's actually a couple of teams that played around the Xbox era and jumped back up. Apparently, we're just going to have a very quick rehost. So I'm assuming then that was an error.
Yeah.
They weren't attempting to no ban. One no ban is a bold strategy and the kind of meme strategy. 2 no bans is I don't think they are there.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering where 5 of them have gone. Because I don't know if you've been in many of these arenas. They're not the biggest places to get lost in.
They're not, but I can also see how a team, step away, picked a map, step away, get a huddle, get it going, and potentially get too distracted and then go on for too long. But yeah, we'll give them a chance to put them back.
Maybe they were just alt-tabbed. They were alt-tabbed playing something else. They went, oh no, wait, we're supposed to be playing.
There's a lot of games to choose from in these arenas. It's not just Siege.
Such a great choice in any of your local Belong arenas. Find your way down and you can play a whole mix of games. But to be fair, we may as well use this as a quick moment because all of this is for something. All of this boils down to Insomnia, which you guys saw the pre-roll at the very beginning, where you can kind of watch these top-tier teams and the teams that make it there to the playoffs play against each other on the big stage. Now, that is I-66.
It is 66 now.
I'm trying to remember now. There's been a lot. There's been a few.
My first one was 34.
Really?
I'm old.
It was many years ago.
And that's still a pretty high number compared to some people in this industry.
It was dial-up back then, and it was
not quite.
It was a tough BYOC, I'll tell you that much. But I-66, if you want to see any, you'll obviously see the Siege lot. I'm assuming people here for the Siege, but all of the other arena clashes that are going on, all of them culminate in the big stage there. So you'll get to see some faces that you might have seen from these. Cheer on your favorite team, or if your favorite team gets beat by one of these teams, shout at your least favorite team. Don't throw stuff. I was going to say throw stuff at them, but don't, because you will get thrown out.
Yep.
But you can hold up a sign that says, I don't like you. You beat my team. Apparently, the teams are swapping sides.
That would explain why they didn't put through the bans. They were talking to admins and being like, hey, should be the other way around. So yeah, Leviathans will be on our blue side and Hunters will be on our orange side once we get back into this. And then the proper bans will go through. We'll see Now, they won't have to stick to the same bans, what with having given some away, but we'll see whether or not the Hunters will be able to stick to those 2 same bans, or whether Leviathans will steal one from them
That's
and
actually very true.
force their hand.
Yeah, I was thinking about that there is, how does this kind of play? Because obviously the standard rules of a rehost are you've got to stick with what you play, you've got to stick with where you lay, because most of the time our rehosts happen after a selection phase, after a whatever. In this, they didn't select because they could not select, so yeah, it could be a little bit of a crossover.
You'll have the option, and the Hunters obviously have the option to go completely different again, but it's all right, how set on those 2 bans were they? So because they've got the option to do different bans, but they're not forced to. So
I guess we'll find out if they're watching the stream if they don't ban Blackbeard again, because I didn't. Okay, you can still ban Blackbeard if you hate Blackbeard that much. Take Blackbeard out.
That's waste. As you mentioned earlier, it's like we're at this tier of play here where yes, we're not SI quality. We are new players, we're new teams, and yes, there are loads of strategic reasons why Blackbeard isn't perhaps as good on Cafe as he is on some other maps now, and why he's a strange ban. But if this specific team, if this lineup has a pain point where they can't get their strategies to work with Blackbeard, then just take it out. If they have got to the point where they're comfortable playing against any other Arena Clash team with other operators, whether it's the ideal strategy or not, as long as it works for them, go for it. If Blackbeard is what breaks everything they've got down, get rid of it. It doesn't have to be what the pros will do. If it's what works for you, go with it. Yeah,
and that's exactly the thing. For all the times that I may scratch my head at some of the decisions that are made throughout things like operator bans, it is a very, very fair point that this is a learning experience for everybody, because also at the same time, these are fresh teams. They're pickup teams. They're teams that, maybe some of them are familiar without playing with Thatcher, as we jump back into the map now with the teams on the right sides, but some of them might not be more comfortable. They might still want to have that Thatcher. They might still want to have a bit of reliance there on the pick and on the kind of, hold. But Hunters, here is their attacker ban, and it is going to stick. They're going to stick with the Blackbeard there.
Can't say I'm too surprised by that, and I do expect they'll stick with the same follow-up ban as well if it gets that far, or if Leviathans don't take it from them. But, it's always nice to mix up and give them the chance. And there we go. Leviathans do pick something in. Where are they going to go? Nomad for their first attacker ban. So it was an Echo first ban, of course, for Hunters. So Leviathans will probably suspect that coming on in. Does that influence their defender ban?
I mean, there's a couple of options here as a defender that you can take out. Obviously, you see a fair bit of Maestro get removed from this map, but Mirror, again, is a very common one. There's really, really great holds you can do on the top floor into kind of Cigar and Christmas Corner and all that kind of area. There's also ones down on the kind of bakery level as well. You'll see some of that left as a Mirror. They'll leave a second half of it open for rotation, so you can't successfully enter the bakery without being an imminent threat of death. So it's, this is a fairly standard ban. The Nomad as well. You've always got to look at this map as those 2 core staircases, and you limit the movement that the defenders can do on the possibility of coming up those staircases. You're in a good place. It's harder to do on the drop down because you've got the big balcony that you can kind of just throw yourself over towards a smaller kind of staircase, but those 2 core ones either side of the map just can really, really limit what the defenders could achieve here.
So our first few picks go in, and they are locked. Now, of course, we have our reveal phase, not the 6-pick phase, but don't expect them to change too much. Gridlock, Thermite, Buck, Karatao, and Ash then for the attacking lineup. Maestro, Alibi, Jaeger, Valkyrie, Legion on defense. Jaeger, of course, is still, to this day, a must-pick for everyone, especially on a map like this, which, as you mentioned before, has now more access to the roof and more viable roof access, but ultimately still plenty of little angles to drop in grenades through those holes before you fall through, and keep yourself safe with a trophy system. Always goes nice. Legion, of course, as well goes in very handy when it comes to, as you mentioned, the 2 only rotate periods up and down those either staircases. He can offer an immense amount of control over one or both of them if he's got the freedom to move back and forth by placing traps throughout the round.
I'm excited to see Legion's face on the game when the nerfs come through. Obviously, for those who've been paying attention to patch notes and potentially dipping their toe in the terrifying world of a test server, you've seen that Legion is starting to face a bit of a change because, well, he is overpowered. There's no real 2 ways about that. He is a good pick on every single site in this game. There is never a bad moment to have a Legion on your team, and he's always a bit of a worry to go against. So it's a rate that, you don't always see it as being the big exceptional problem, but to be that consistent and that across the board consistent, you've got to go back to the drawing board a little bit there.
So we'll get now to watch the Leviathans push on in and see which angle they're coming from. Buck's decided to join a little bit later than the rest, but he's here. I am interested to watch where Gridlock gets used, and this is where I get to expose my Z. rough edges in that she may be a huge pick on this map, but not something I would have personally seen.
Wow, Alibi instantly opening up there against the pillars, and that is, well, a player taking another player out. As you can see, a lot of these times they use the in-game accounts. Valkyrie with a jump out gets caught out. What? Spinning around to try and survive against the Capital pistol, but there's only so long breakdancing can keep you alive in this game. They have top-down control, and it's a very quick trade of an Ashe and a Valkyrie and what was kind of, in a weird way, unremarkable firefights. They happened, no one was there for a refrag, someone jumped out of a window and it's done. Now, as you were saying, you're not sure how Gridlock can be used. Well, you can hear her churning away.
Yeah, like I get the logic, I get the theory. Again, we were talking about how Legion can control 2 staircases or very easily, and she can obviously do the same for the attackers, but will it be a benefit? We'll have to wait and watch. Jaeger picks up a second kill then for the defensive team and hits the numbers advantage back in their favor with another run out of their own. Then I can't say that's too surprising either, because we saw that he was Thermite was repelled on their wall. It was made apparent to the defending team, and he had no cover, no kind of support, no claymores, nothing to keep him safe in that position. So it was a free run out for Jaeger to go and collect him. And now they are down without their hard breach and stuck on the roof.
Yeah, it becomes quite a bit of an issue to find your way into the building. And one of the problems that it seems to be from the attackers here is they've gone with a very big split push that is completely now funneled down after already losing the body count. They lose it a slight bit further as the Jaeger is able to take one before his life has taken himself. Legion's going to rotate round via Cigar and try and make sure that nobody comes in at the top of red stairs. This is, for those who aren't aware, the standard way of taking control of this entire map. You start from that red stairs hatch, you start from your way across, and then you push via the piano, and it seems like they haven't been able to really get a hold on it, on what is often seen as the hardest site to get a hold of. Maestro across the 2 new balconies, well, he makes his mark as the Hunters take the first round.
So I think I see what the plan was initially there from the Leviathans, and it was to drop in through their hatch as a team, get control of the area, and then Thermite your extra hole in through to piano and start taking the floor from that angle. It's not uncommon, it's not unheard of, and yeah, I like the plan. But when you then send Thermite all on his own across to the other side of the map to enter and repels on windows, you kind of leave him open, and yeah, great opportunity there for the defensive side and a great spot from Plagueis the Woke to run out and pick him off early on in the round and completely suffocate them in that channel. The other thing that's a slight question on my part was the fact that when Buck dropped on in, we just watched the Jaeger shoot down 5 Mozzie spikes and make a fair bit of noise in the process, but they did not seem to hear it happening. So perhaps a little bit more attention should be paid there by our attacking squad, and they'll be in a better position next time.
Do you know, one of the things that always makes me, it kind of paints the scene of this tier of play, is the amount of times operators will die with utility still in their pocket. Buck at that point had 2 frag grenades. 2 frag grenades could have just popped either of them down. Even if he didn't get the kill on Jaeger, it would have forced any direction away from that point. Obviously, until we get the new UI into the game, it's a bit harder to entirely tell the scene of how much utility is not being used, but there was no droning. There was only face checking, which is such a horrible word, but is so consistently thrown around at this tier, which is, it's a tough thing to do on a map like this, where there's so many places, as we've seen, for not only the defenders to be very active and aggressive inside the map itself, but to take that ferocity just outside, just to those windows, to those rappels, and really, really make a mark with it.
So now we get to watch all over again. I'd like to point out one other thing to note from my initial comments today too, is that yes, this is his first season on PC again, and these are now being played there, but I think there are also a fair few people still playing with controllers plugged in. As you mentioned, there are teams that have come over from the Xbox for some reason before, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they're doing it with mouse and keyboard. So you'll see a variety of different control inputs here. As Valkyrie is looking for that peek out again, remember she jumped out before and paid the price for it with the 1-for-1 trade. This time she's looking with her eyes alone, does have that default camera up on the edge and gets a great bit of coverage across for everyone. Notices one directly under this window, isn't ready for the jump out because it wasn't properly punched, and now sees them running around again. She's edging for it, she really wants this to happen.
That's a Valkyrie player. That's a Valkyrie player, untethered and unmatched, and well, Mozzie is the first to suffer a little bit of damage back his way. One of the things that's worth kind of noting about the attack here is they are very spread out generally. There's only really one pair that have found their way together. They're almost a little bit scared of the jump outs that might be coming, and obviously Valkyrie's not spotting, but it is aware, and there she goes. Finds the opening, tries to find a way back in. Legion finds a second on red stairs, and there's another on the side as well of Mozzie. Oh no! Leviathans, it has very quickly collapsed. Gridlock tries to enter and get a little bit back, but there is the crossfire, and there is the butt getting one, but it's a 1 versus 4. Leviathans, you have a minute 20 and one man, 2 grenades, and a whole lot of work to do.
Yeah, they know exactly where he is as well. They've seen him once and they're pushing in from multiple angles. They're throwing Legion traps his way. There's a C4 rip, but it doesn't matter as Plagueis the Woke will finish him off with a quick headshot pinned in the corner. And yeah, that whole round was kind of dictated there by cameras from the looks of it. The Roamers knew exactly where they could go, where they couldn't go. They watched everything through the Valkyrie cams. Valk waited for the opportune moment, jumped out and picked up her first kill, got back in safely as well onto the back of it, and at the same time 2 of her teammates picked up kills of their own thanks to players they knew were isolated, knew were picked off, and had caught on the cameras.
I've heard a rumour. There's an operator in this game that can spot cameras and electronics, which would be very, very good to bring at this point, because they've now, for 2 rounds in a row, brought a Valkyrie and a Mozzie. And as you've said, this is an information team. They're running it consistently and using it for jump outs. The fact that Leviathans haven't kind of picked up on that so far, with suffering this for 2 rounds in a row, you know, that's a lesson you've got to try and learn quick. And yes, it's hard to do when you're a pickup team, when you're a team that might not be able to have that kind of overarching idea of a team dynamic. Maybe you don't have an IQ player as well, but you've always got to be open to the idea that if you're uncomfortable playing an operator, if it makes the other team's entire often used strategy uncomfortable, well, then it's a good pick, and it's a good idea, and it's a good moment to try and expand into the realm of playing the IQ. She has good guns, I swear.
Exactly. She's still a 3 speed as well at the end of the day, unless that's changed and I haven't been told. But yeah, I think she's still a 3 speed. So she's got a plenty of opportunity to be used outside of that gadget too, and that gadget is so powerful with the way that defense is set up these days. And okay, they don't know about it until after they picked up this round too, but now there's an Ella in the mix. There's even more gadgets that can be spotted with IQ. So much to see, so much there, and they do seem to like the idea of heading in as a fairly bunched up group to the Leviathan. So if you're going to do that together, if you're going to all be there, you might as well have one of those people be an IQ. If you're running 5 separate people, yeah, okay, there's better operators that can be 5 separate people and from different angles, but if you're already going to do it as a group, one of them might as well be an IQ and clear the way for everyone. It makes her value even higher.
The hard thing as well, you're coming into this as kind of oftentimes 5 individual players that have probably and potentially come from similar backgrounds and operators, and someone's got to pick up the thermite role as we see the hard destruction trying to find his way across. Someone's got to play the castle in some points, and unfortunately someone's got to be the first to go as Leviathans lose their entry on the Ash to a Legion that has been able to try and keep control across this middle floor so far. But the roles that get dictated by a team, the first teams to adopt and adapt to those are the ones that you're going to see getting more and more wins, because they have that semblance of team dynamic. You can't all be junglers, you can't all be entry fraggers. You've got to find that balance, and you've got to find those responses. Valkyrie, left untethered, knows no bounds in this cigar lounge as she waits for the drop of the hatch.
You watch again though, the Legions and the Valkyries checking around the cameras, and they're seeing everything. They're seeing all the movements. They know where to expect people. Legion knew to watch that window for Ash's smash and peek. Valkyrie will have been seen on that drone, I'm pretty sure, but doesn't try to shoot it, waits to see any kind of movement or listen for the drop in. Legion, meanwhile, of course, charging up and placing all his goo mines across the corridors and around the bomb sites, knowing that even if they spend all this time getting in and do take out the Valkyrie, who is still close by and will have seen that drop in from Gridlock on the camera, they've got to get to all those Legion mines eventually. She also has up top with her Jaeger to back her up, and they know they're through the walls. She can spam spray it, looks for the next one, goes for one, does manage to get a low health but not finish her off. Switching to the Deagle, but there's the help from Jaeger to finish her off. Still, however, Buck is looking for the long distance kill as he just sees his teammate go down, but he turns his back on Valkyrie and will pay the ultimate price for that, leaving the diffuser in defenders' hands.
Okay, we talk about utility and we talk about moments to use it, that was a buck and a gridlock with a super shorty next to a double soft wall on a place where they knew Valkyrie was close to the other side. They'd successfully dropped both operators in. Gridlock was holding the angle to where Valkyrie couldn't move. All Buck had to do at that point, all he had to do was use his utility and open that double soft wall.
Yeah.
And it's tough in those moments, and this is what we said at the very, very beginning of the stream, where being on camera, being on broadcast, and being in this comp environment, it's a fantastic learning experience. But these are the lessons you've got to take away and learn. These are the moments.
Yeah. These are the little things that mount up, and I think that's again key and credit to Siege in so many ways, is that it's on the surface, yeah, it's a 5v5, plant the bomb, defuse the bomb, standard kind of shooter game, but there's so many little things that mount up and add up to make it the nuanced and detailed, fantastic pro shooter that it is, that really sets the best from the rest. And yeah, you've just got to take these little games, take these little moments and add them into yours every chance you can get.
I am really enjoying the defense. I know I've kind of harped on a little bit about the attack making these little mistakes, but you've got to give credit to the way the defense are playing it very confidently. They're very aggressively moving around the map. They're trying to consistently keep control of all locations, sometimes not even inside the building. They're active, and that is a very beneficial thing, especially when your opponents, if you read the fact that they're a little bit skittish, a little bit scared of entering the building or entering these aggressive firefights, put pressure on. Press, which is actually one of the telltale signs of a great UK team, which we see from teams like Na'Vi and teams like Secret, is they're so good at applying that pressure when they need to.
So, seeing a fuse come out, it always makes me smile. Not only is his gadget surprisingly useful with just clearing other people's gadgets with the amount of destruction that puts off, but it's always good fun to watch that poop into a room and watch people scatter.
Oh yeah.
But on the defensive side, and this could well be a problem for the Leviathans, is the Caveira. And she is so good at decimating people running around on their own. And that's something the Leviathans have shown already. They're doing a fair bit. They've already lost quite a few operators in previous rounds to just being solo, being unprepared and being isolated. And if they are caught by it, the Cav of all people in that situation this time, it's going to spell severe pain for everyone else left on their roster.
Obviously, looking at the Leviathan kind of bans as well, Nomad was obviously one of them for their defenses, so hopefully seeing a little bit more expressive attitude across it, and then Mira, the defender ban too. And I think it's one of those things where, okay, well, you've got to start looking at the board of operators you've still got on the board. Jackal, you know that they're playing these loose roam games, and you have the ability to try and apply some pressure, and there is the first time the attackers have got the opening frag, and, well, unfortunately, it's very quickly countered by the Legion on the top floor with Fuse, who had just swung straight in, and Valkyrie has quickly tipped the balance, but it at least shows that the Hunters are able to finally start hunting, and it's forcing the Valkyrie downstairs to try and stem the flow.
Ash managed to pick up that first kill. Caveira arguably ran straight into her. She knows something about where this Valkyrie is, however, doesn't know about the alibi. And the alibi has clearly spotted Ash, so those pings are coming out, letting Valk know that there's someone down watching her backside. So Valk is going to stay on that staircase for a while longer now. Ash, however, hasn't checked the other direction. She's got no drones there to help her out. She's got no idea that she is being watched from her other flank, and she's just waiting and hoping that Valk will step back down into her crosshair. Now she checks the other way, sees the alibi, and actually gets the flick in time with a slither of health left. Ash manages to make her mark and even up the score now to 3 defenders and 3 attackers each.
Okay, this is looking good. Valkyrie's in a bit of a hot situation here. She might not know how low the Ash is, but the Buck and the Gridlock are on the top of the staircase now. They're worried about the Legion, that's fine, but you have a Valkyrie completely trapped. Swings, Legion doesn't quite react in time, and that is a big gun that you can keep firing for a while, and if you can keep the range here, you might be able to do something with it. Still has utility. 2 smoke grenades, 2 track stingers, 1 track stinger, but 2 frag grenades in the hands of a Buck who has met his maker, and the C4 from underneath from the Valkyrie, who found the way out of the puzzle. The Ash still hadn't moved, charged up a staircase and met her end. Unfortunately, the Hunters don't find a little bit more of that round.
So remember at the start of the show I mentioned how new teams, inexperienced teams tend to fall prey to being too slow and running out the clock.
Yes.
That's exactly what we saw there from the Leviathans on the attack. Yes, okay, we didn't hit the 0 point, but notice how they spent ages trying to get through that hatch. They did drone out, they did send Ash underneath, they did a slightly better job at getting control of the other floors, and then they're, okay, we're comfortable dropping in. Alright, now drone piano. Okay, we know he's in piano, and they pushed him, they sprayed him. They didn't kill him, but they pushed him away, and they made themselves some space. But then they were stuck. They hadn't thought beyond that next point, so then they got C4 from below, then they got repeat from behind. They just didn't have the next thing in line because they'd spent so long getting to that point and had no preparation for what goes beyond that, that then they fell prey to the quick reactions and the quick adaptions from the Hunters on defense. That, unfortunately, means I think we're going to see it a fair bit again in these Leviathans. They are learning with each round, which is good. They are taking these little steps and getting a little bit further each time. But when you've got an end point, when you've got a round limit, you can't just keep doing that forever.
That's it. That's entirely it. It's also worth mentioning the whole idea of cost. Is the rating of a player in Siege, it's not just about your KD. It's not just obviously about getting the diffuser down and getting the round wins. You've got to think about the T from it, which is the trade, which is a very, very vital thing that these teams seem to be struggling with a little bit more. And it's always a pickup team struggle. So look at the situation. They had the Valkyrie. They knew where she was, and they had 2 people above her and 1 person below her. At that point, whether anything else is going on the map, you know you're in a situation where you can push this operator from 2 different directions and either force her out to make her out of position, or preferably get the frag there with the trade, potentially of the Ashe that's on 1 HP. Maybe she's already got 2 kills, and one of them was an astounding flick across the board, and instead they decided to try and push towards the point. And you know, that idea of getting blinkered and getting a little bit concerned with playing the objective, well, that always becomes the big worry and the big problem. 4-0 for the Hunters. They've already made a perfect 3-0 spin on their points, so they're heading back to their second choice now, and well, let's see if they can keep the roll up.
So the aggressive moves are once again here from the defending team. They can hear the window smashing, they're prepped for the window smashing, and there goes the first attacker again. Ash taken out. She tries to jump in through the kitchen, which isn't a huge surprise considering she's done that in the same entry almost every round now. Capital was there to try and punish the Legion for sticking around. Does tag him a little bit, but it's not enough to finish him completely. Legion heads back the other way and just sprays a couple of bullets back and forth, but no real menace from either of them. The Legion now has the tighter angle there and can land that shot, while Plagueis upstairs gets another one as well, takes down the Thermite once more, and a nasty flick comes out from Dokkaebi while the phones are ringing to finish off Mozzie. And Leviathans have a little bit of hope back from that one, but still down 4 players to 2.
Well, drops the default cam, and the Buck is under an immense amount of pressure, but does find a frag back in. 3 versus 2. That impossible split is looking less and less impossible. A wide aggressive play there from a Valkyrie that has been, well, they've been pretty outstanding so far on the defensive rounds. Able to just keep finding bodies. Looks for another one. The SMG can't quite get there and doesn't quite have the same control they had previously. Opening a rotate, which is a smart maneuver. Keep yourself alive, and the Valkyrie is refusing to let Dokkaebi find any safety. A deagle of all guns to end that round.
Aggressive push. It does take confidence to pull that off, and does get just enough shots landed to make it count. Last round on defense then for the Hunters, and all signs point to a 6-0 half, unless they do something shoddy here. 2 players still on that side with 0 deaths apiece. They haven't really been pressured on the sites. They are the anchor players. They haven't had to really make a move or do anything, as their roamers have just been running free on the rest of the map and dismantling the attacking squad, as finally we do see that which we asked for so long ago.
You know, you just... Siege is a game of call and response, and in a weird way, more so when you're in a situation where you don't really have strategies, you don't have attacking sets. You know, the diffuser has kind of bounced between the players carrying it, but is often falling to the combination of this Buck and Gridlock push. And now they've kind of gone, well, we need something that can just control the defenders, because they're malleable, they're loose, they're free firing across every single corner of this map. A Jackal, even a Lion in this kind of current situation, and obviously, as we said, the IQ too, to just limit those cameras that have been a consistent problem. I believe the Ashe has been the entry death for at least 4 of these 5 rounds, and a lot of the times it's before she's even really put a foot into the building. The one time she does, she gets 2 kills. You know, keep that kind of player alive. The way you do that, someone's got to pick up the utility. Someone's got to pick up the camera to scan for the cameras. And, well, let's see if it can kind of at least put something their way before the split.
Alright, there's the end of the prep phase. Attacking now begins. The cameras are out. Where's IQ? Keeping an eye on it. There's the Valk watching for it. Finds one. That's the diffuser immediately dropped. The second man doesn't quite stick his head out, but Buck is out of the picture all of a sudden. Quick and easily. Oh, and the second one falls as well. It's twitched down and out. They knew the peak was coming. Valk stayed firm. Knows he's got the diffuser there too to keep an eye on it. And they need to get control of that piano now. Finka heading up the side of the building will make her way to the roof.
It's unfortunate.
But, yeah.
It's unfortunate to see. I mean, you've got to give credit again to the Hunters. They have been very, very good. They're a team that they're playing quite free-wheeling. There's something where, again, we said it before, you want to see a team like this get pressured, and unfortunately the Leviathans just aren't the team to be able to apply that. Look at the way this Valkyrie is getting kills. They shouldn't be able to get away with that.
She didn't that time, to be fair.
Yeah.
She did get punished for it, but yeah, at that point, that was her 3rd kill, so it's a bit better late than never, as that point goes on. So yeah, it's now an uphill battle for the IQ, who is still here, and the Finka, but they've got a lot of rounds in those guns. They've got big LMGs, but fortified. They do take a lot of damage onto that Maestro, but the quick flick comes out from Hull 7 to finish off poor IQ, and it's now all down to Finka.
Wow. 2 frag grenades, 3 adrenal surges, a very, very big gun, and an enemy detected outside means that she's going to be a bit cautious and actually hide in. I believe that looked like controller movements.
Yeah, I do believe it's a controller
player.
This
is a controller player.
It's an even tougher fight.
This is a hard one. There's no denying that, but hey, we've seen miracles on Siege before. Maybe we'll see another first quick fight. Didn't see, but the crossfire's there.
Oh, she got the first one.
Yeah, did at least find the person that blew their way in. They instantly read where Finka was, and you know,
so we could see it, because I don't know exactly what we're set to on the observing PC, but our field of view is big enough to see that head. And as you see there in the kill cam, which drops to 60 field of view, I believe, if it hasn't been changed, you couldn't see the head, which is obviously what the player was playing on 60 field of view.
Yeah, get bigger field of view, guys. These arenas, they're equipped for this. Trust me, you cannot push these computers too far. They are really, really good machines. Use them. 11-2 is an astounding kind of split. 8-0 is also very good, and that's just the top 2 players from the Hunters, and one of them's picked Ash. There's a Jackal, a Blitz, and a Ying. Oh no, is what I'm thinking.
Yeah, it's gonna be tough. But hey, it's the defensive side now. We've seen plenty of times where teams go 6-0 down and then go 6-all for the draw. Can the Leviathans be one of those squads? Will they be one of those rosters that surprises us and comes out here with a complete change of pace and an easy win at the start of this half?
Well, they're going to try and hold the ground with a castle. A notable player recently described it as the worst gun in the game, but that notable player then went on to win the entire tournament. So don't talk out castle just yet. He can bring a lot to a hold, and this is a great point to do it on. It really allows you to limit the movements that they can make and just kind of restrict the ease of access. These windows that you see him kind of toying with the idea of putting castles on, they're actually rarer to be pushed, and usually, as we said, you take over the western side of this building and go flat across. The default plant spot, as is often cited, is just to the left of the reception desk, dug in by the corner that connects those sofas to the big open lobby space as well. So there's not a huge need or necessity to try and take those window fights that are so prone and victim to runouts. However, if a team is as aggressive as they've been on their defense and, well, struggles with at least default cams, is going to be one to take those windows.
There's a Blitz in that Hunter roster too, and I was going to see if they wanted to let him lead the charge, but no, Capitao is all in for it. There was a little man tucked in the corner, but he didn't quite catch him. Thanks to X-Ray, we saw it's Vigil hiding from the drones. He heard him head up the staircase, but hasn't got the confidence to follow him up. So as a result, Capitao is just running straight through the site with Ash on the roof firing down from up top. There's Capitao now following up behind the Blitz. Up this side staircase they go. start to punch their way through the barbed wire. There is a player to his left who will have heard that, but he hasn't decided to peek. It's the Ella as he picks his timing right. You need to stick your head out. He sees it, but just as Blitz turns his way, the flash comes in. Ella is flashed down and finished off at the same time. Another kill comes in on the other side of the map to finish off the poor Vigil, and there's Capital behind the Blitz to get the fourth one before our final player, Vigil, comes up from below. Does finally make his mark by picking off one kill, but there are 4 more to find, and one of them is still that Blitz. They know he's coming up this staircase. They were just pre-peeking it, but looked away. Blitz is there, but he's blocking his own team's fireball. He's going to be pushed down the stairs with fireballs in 2 directions, but he's still alive with less than 25 health to go, but the Hunters jump down behind him, and Blitz will get the last kill of the round and the last kill of the map.
Well. Back to the drawing board, I think, for a little bit of this in the hands of Leviathans. There's much to learn from this game for sure, but you've got to give credit as well to the Humber Hunters. Yeah, that was a very aggressive lineup there they took. They entirely just charged in on the 1 attacking rounds, but you're on a 6-0 split, and it was a very comfortable 6-0 split.
Can see why they had the confidence to charge in like that, and it's clearly there. We saw the Vigil player sat in that perfect opportunity where he was, sit in the corner, hidden from drones. I don't think they actually did drone, but could have been hidden from drones because he's the Vigil. They weren't quite entirely where he was there. He did get around behind them because they pushed on past, but he didn't have that then confidence to actually make that impact, to push behind until the rest of his team was already dead and out of the picture. So just need a little bit more oomph and get up and go from the Leviathans, but they definitely had some moments in there where they clearly had the right idea. It's just the execution wasn't quite on their side.
And you know, it's one of those things. As you said, confidence, momentum and siege go hand in hand, and unfortunately it just didn't quite work for them today. They stalled, as you said. They kind of second-guessed themselves in the moments where they did light up. It was then followed by them stopping and thinking, which against a team that decided to just run around the map and shoot things, it's hard to kind of counter. We'll have one more game, obviously, just after this, which will be the Ballymena Bears versus the Manchester Swarm. So don't go anywhere because we still have that on the board. We will see you after a quick break.
I think everyone wonders what they would do if they saw a ghost. I think everyone wonders what they would do if they saw a ghost.
I'm not afraid of your ghosts, Bridget.
I think everyone wonders what they would do if they saw a ghost.
I'm not afraid of your ghosts, Bridget.
I think everyone wonders what they would do if they saw a ghost. I think everyone wonders what they would do if they saw a ghost.
I'm not afraid of your ghosts, Bridget.
I think everyone wonders what they would do if they saw a ghost.
Welcome back then, everybody. Those of you that are just joining us, my name is Panky and I'm joined, of course, by Captain Fluke, your regular Belong Arena Clash host. For those of you that missed our first game, it was a fairly one-sided affair between the Leviathans and the Hunters, but our next game features something far more interesting. A swarm of bears, also known as the Manchester Swarm, and the Balloon Bears. So, yeah, it should be a wild one.
Yeah, I think it's the kind of, this is two teams where they've both won at least one. Obviously, we're not quite sure how the other games from their evening today went, whether one of them's found the victory, whether one's made a bit of a kind of split there, but you hope that this is a little bit more intense than the last game.
Yeah, or even just even. It doesn't have to be, pro tier gameplay, and knowing some of the players on the Bears, maybe not going to happen. But there is also just something, a little bit of back and forth.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing about these teams as well, because these are starting to names that some of you might have heard of. Some of you regulars may have known some of these names on our rosters for these two teams. Manchester Swarm, Sombrero Bloke, Voodoo Temp, Dr. Pie, Vanquish, and Novi. Ballymena Bears have Robodog, Nile, Irish Ace, Irish Kraken, Mr. Plow, and who's that? Who's that at the bottom there?
Are they an Irish team by chance? Just getting a vibe here.
It's
vibe
a
from this.
little bit of an Irish. It's a Northern Irish team. At least a mix of things. I know Demo is sometimes called Irish.
Is the bottom of the list the substitute?
I think it's orange. Gets the oranges at the half time. Equipment manager. For the team. But yes, it is the Bears versus the Swarm, and all eyes are going to be on Demo because obviously it's hilarious if he fails on the big screen for all the times that any pros out there, like especially Quadsy, I don't know if Quadsy will be watching the amount of times that Demo has said it's the Quadsy effect when someone plays bad on stream. Well, now's your chance to see if Demo lives up to that effect. Bears versus Swarm.
I'm a little bit excited.
It's exciting.
Yeah, it is.
It's nice to see your friends fail. So we'll see how obviously these teams get into it. Now, the previous game, obviously, as we said, went by pretty quickly. It was a 7-0. It was kind of obvious that at least one of those teams was generally using controllers as well. So you would, in an FPS game, expect that.
It's a thing that I think a lot of, I would say non-endemic Siege fans, but people that don't watch Siege on the regular, people from outside Siege, look at it as a game that has PC and console, and commonly misconceive is that PC Siege with the controller plugged in doesn't have aim assist. No version of Siege has aim assist unless it's the PvE terrorist hunt mode. So there's none of it. Whereas obviously every other controller-based game or cross-platform-based game or not, there is some form of aim assist for controller players when playing up against everyone. Siege doesn't have that. So yeah, controller players, yes, okay, you can put loads and loads of hours in, you can get very good with controller. There are some people that are fantastic with controller, but there is zero help whatsoever on Siege. So it does mean that when you aren't one of those players that's put thousands of hours into controller, the gap between a mouse and keyboard and a controller player is that much larger.
Yeah, and I think that was the thing that was also apparent there, was the amount of times where it was tight angles being held from the spawn peekers that were just holding those angles that on a controller you can't react to at that pace. Even just trying to approach with the analogs to hit the kind of threshold of your crosshair getting close to the window, you're not going to win those firefights. And when a team is leaning into that and being aggressive as they are, it doesn't take much to kind of make the divide as obvious as we saw it in the previous dance around Cafe. So what we're hoping for, I guess, on this game is just a little bit more back and forth.
Yeah.
A little bit more even strategy. Obviously, as we said before, these are teams that both have wins. When we had a look at the kind of scoreboards earlier on at the beginning of the day, they were about mid-tier on across the board. So.
But of course, first we need to find out where they are playing and what map that's going to take part on. Now, of course, remember, we've got a 7-map pool, but we're only playing one map in this particular outing. So it will be 6 bands, 1 from each team, 3 each across the board and all the way down to finding our decided map. So we've still got all the usual suspects in. We'll see where they go and shake them off. We've obviously already seen one cafe map here today. We could go anywhere for this next one. So we'll find out what their first ban is, and we'll speculate from there.
Yeah, I mean, it's always hard to kind of call. I'm imagining Demo shouting orders right now to the masses of the Ballymena Bears. I would love to be able to kind of have the cameras inside the arenas just to see what the atmosphere is like there. I think
it's one of those like logical additions to the arena clash that level ups production.
Yeah, you need the player cams, and then you can see the lovely Great Belong arenas, and you guys can go to them. You guys can play in this if you want next season. Not this season, you're too late, but next season you can, as we wait for our first ban to come in. Now, obviously, we kind of talked about some of these maps earlier. I would be surprised if we see a Villa or a Bank, if I'm honest. They're big strat-heavy maps. It's still the second week. We might see more of them as time goes on. We're going to see one now, for sure, because I've said we're not going to see one.
Yeah.
But I would be surprised if we see them. That's all cafe bans and cafe pick.
I'm starting to think that might not be what we're going to see.
We are
Using my extensive years of Siege experience, I can deduce
get to the.
that's not correct.
No, they really dislike cafe, but one of them likes cafe and also get Border out of here. Border is the first ban yet again, because even in amongst the hate of cafe, Border is the first ban. Border is gone. That is an official ban now. That is 100%.
Yeah, that's going to stick. That one's staying.
That's real. That's this map ban has been an adventure. The first week it just said value across the board, and then we just went into the map. So this week, at least, we
could argue that some of these map bans do provide a lot of value.
They do. There's high value removals. Border and Bank, the first two. This is exactly the same as the first map.
This is exactly the same as the first map. Are we definitely running off the right band?
Is this an error? Is this the right band? This is
okay,
it. This is
it's
exactly
staying true. Well,
Villa is the same as well.
Yep, this is all way. One of these has to be cafe to mix things up, but I have a sneaky suspicion it's not going to happen.
Is this exactly the same?
No, Consulate was the 6th band last time.
Okay.
That was close.
We might still just see cafe. There's still a very high chance that we'll see cafe in this point.
Which I'm not totally against, because we've seen it already today, but at the same time, seeing a different set of teams play it would be interesting, but we're not going to get it. We are safe and clear and heading over to Clubhouse instead.
Clubhouse is a sensible pick. It's like, in a way, it's similar to Border in that everybody knows it. You know your holds. Yes, we've seen some kind of flirtation with tool holds.
Well, other than, it's been reworked, but Consulate, Bank, and Clubhouse are the 3 oldest maps in this list.
Yeah.
So, actually, Cafe, I don't mind, so take it all back. So, there's more old maps than there are new maps. But, yes, Cafe, Clubhouse, they've all been reworked. Consulate to an extent as well. Bank, in fact, the only one untouched from launch.
Yeah, and I think says a lot about the map, that it's still so exciting and still being developed. Clubhouse has had a little bit of a change of face thanks to SSG, which kind of led this SSG hold where you hold tall. You stretch out what Clubhouse can be, and a lot of other teams have started to kind of dip their toes into that. However, it's hard to pull off unless you are watertight, as a kind of spaceship would be. So if they attempt it on this, well, I'm curious to see how it might go. Swarm, Bears, bans. Well, let's see what Ballymena want to take out first.
I'm expecting to see much more predictable and familiar-looking bans here because, as I said, especially with the Bears, they've got that pro analysis. They've got that experience watching the top tier of play. So whether it's strategy based or whether it's just because it's what they know they should be doing, that's where I expect to see things go. And Maverick is the first one out of the gate, with the follow-up then from the Swarm being Capita.
Very, very familiar bands. As you said, we've already obviously jovially harped on about Demo on one side. On the other, you do have Sombrero, who is an admin for a lot of UK tournaments as well. And, these are names where we're starting to see a little bit more familiarity, which we will occasionally from team to team as we go up and down these teams across the country. And this is the first time that we've really kind of recognized these guys having their heads into the top and higher tiers. Echo 2 is removed, the single hard destruction Capital Echo. This is par for par and step for step exactly a ban list that you would see on the higher tiers. Mirror gone 2. Well, we've got a Clubhouse on our hands.
This will get spicy. And as well, SSG showed, and there's some clutch plays in their semi-finals, their quarterfinals, their run towards that grand final. The verticality of this map really does come into play again these days. It was one of those things that took a while to establish across Siege as a whole. Verticality was a new concept to everyone that played shooter games and took a while to show up through all of the maps and through the entire game. Then it did, and it took everything by storm and completely changed the face of Siege. But one of the maps that it still struggled to was Clubhouse, because so much of the floors wasn't accessible from a vertical play, and then the rework came through and opened it up even further, so we're starting to see it now at a much stronger pace. And SSG, as you mentioned, with that stretch out, with those new holds, really making it work for them.
Well, a CCTV cache hold here, and this is again a familiar setup. They're doubling down on the denial on that wall and trying to hold it for as long as possible, but any attacker team, an average to good attacking team, can get this open. Usually, it's just the amount of time it takes you. Whether they try and bandit trick it or not, you have obviously the frag grenades, the Zephyr charges that can pop in from underneath or on the backside. You've always got the Buck as well. If he's not going to grenade from the opposite window, can just kind of dig in underneath if you get control. That wall that we see Nile reinforcing, it will fall, but it's the amount of time that it takes that is the big ask and the big issue. Doc, you will see playing on this upper canopy level of the garage as well, holding on behind the railings, keeping himself alive more than ever. It's a very selfish way of playing it. Mr. Plow, that's his name. Yes, that's his name, and that's what he'll do. He'll be keeping himself alive and keeping the battle on the door going for as long as possible. Jägermain Demo is going to try and, well...
Of course he is. Jaeger and Asher.
Yeah. He's trying to be a certain player, Ben Citizen McMillan. He's friends with Ben Citizen McMillan, if you didn't know, and he's going to try and emulate that as best as he can.
And now the Citizen's a free agent. Well, Demo, there's a space on no.
Oh, well,
if you make a good impression here, Demo, I mean, who's to say what might happen?
Please don't give him ideas. Please don't give him ideas. Holding on to the top of red stairs and keeping himself alive. Obviously, there are a hilarious amount of eyes on him right now, but it's mainly just because it would be so funny to see him slip up. Not that he will guaranteed, but hey, this is the Zephyr. This is the combination. Can you get this off? Bandit does, but loses 2 charges. In the meantime, Zephyr, that's not when you do that.
We did concuss the Bandit with 1, but they've already burned 2 batteries. Did take down 1 thermite charge with one of those 2 though, so will there be a valid trade? Well, that's up to them to decide, and now Zephyr has decided it's time to make an angle on the underside instead. They've droned it out and realized it's clear. There's the ping mark coming on in. The floor is getting destroyed by the Bandit. More grenades coming up now from the Buck 2 to really make sure he's gone. They will pre-fire the staircase, expecting Maestro camera to be sat next to Demo, and they are right. Nile, however, picks up the first kill down through the floor as Jaeger now pushes down and looks for 1. Tags up but can't get the kill on the second. They still don't seem to realize he's there, and Demo picks up 2 in quick succession before the trade back from Parkinson takes away 1 of the defenders. As the grenade comes into Buck's hand, then Demo finally peaks, but with that long barrel, the damage just isn't quite there. Thatcher, very, very low health now, but only 2 attackers left alive, and a strong defense at the start of this from the Bears.
Wow, that was a very, very good play there. The use of utility instantly from both teams has been fantastic. And talking of, there is Sombrero pushing up and getting control of the stairs, dropping a very important frag. It's a 3 versus 2, but they still have a lockdown on the top of red with Demo, who's actually going to try and go off these pings and take the man on the stairs. Gets it from range, and the diffuser carrier is down. Demo is on a triple. Demo is hungry for a 4th, and Demo finds it. Well, we wanted him to slip on the proverbial banana skin. And unfortunately for us, for Shattered and Co in chat, just one round.
There's still
just one
time.
round. It's a 4-0. And talking of chat, for those asking, the reason that those holes were knocked in is for audio. It makes bandit tricking easier if you have a little bit of the wall destroyed, even before you put your hard reinforcers up, because it lets you...
I'm still certain that's a myth.
You know,
I'm pretty sure it's not been confirmed.
It's like
and Ubisoft, I think, will come out to say, no, that doesn't happen. But some people still firmly believe it does.
Yeah, it's like a lucky rabbit's foot. It's like a... You do it because it's like, yeah, this is going to make... It's like when people buy a Pro League skin of like the Na'Vi skin and they say, well, this makes me a better gunner. It's like, if you believe that, maybe. If you get the confidence from somewhere, maybe. But Church and Arsenal, they're going to head to, obviously, with Maverick off the board. You know, this is still a very good kind of push for them. Double hard destruction is usually bought, and they've only gone with single, which does limit their decisions. Not considerably, but it makes it a much harder choice because you've got 2 of those hard walls that you can take care of. If you use one on dirt as an example, well, then you've only got 1 left to potentially get a hatch. If you use one of the hatches, well, then you've still got church wall. You really, really have to think hard about where you want to put these thermite charges.
So we'll see where he chooses to spawn as to what the choice is too, but there's a few less chances for it to get tricked in this bomb site, so maybe he'll still have both, whereas obviously last time he lost to one of them. But yeah, there's a lot to be destroyed now to get into this basement, and 2 charges not necessarily enough. So they send him in from the tunnel to begin with, and he will immediately head down to try and open this up. No one's going to try and stop this. They have a drone, I believe, in the tunnel to make sure of it, so he feels safe opening that wide up.
Attackers have recovered their diffuser.
Demo now playing the Mozzie instead upstairs. There's the call that the tunnel's being opened up, but they've got a smoke in there with a shotgun and his smoke charges to keep them pinned outside. So that's going to be a real tough nut to crack for the attacking swarm, trying to make their way in there. But do you see that hole in the floor from Demo? He's got that 3-story angle down onto the kitchen, and potentially there's a hole that he can see all the way to the basement from that same position if they made it.
I'm not sure if they used, because obviously we saw them setting up a thermite breach on the back wall. It's now on the right wall. I'm hoping that was just they moved the breach charge and didn't use both of them on dirt, because, okay, still has one in pocket to try and take control of this. But as you said, Demo is lurking above. The Mozzie as well is going to mean that if they try and drone him out, well, he can just waste so much time, because anything that comes his way becomes his drone. He is able to hold onto logistics, has the super shorty if he wants to open a slow rotate, has the nitro if he wants to open a quick one, but you've got to get him out of here, because if you leave him up there and he's able to collapse down upon whoever enters that kitchen, well, it's going to be a very, very tough time from that point onwards. Mr. Plow is going to get the opening firefight here, turns and sprays and doesn't quite find it, as Temp is able to open it in the favor of the Swarm.
Interesting play from the smoke to peek into the spray coming his way, and without the shotgun at hold. You're in that tiny space. The shotgun would have done that extra little bit of damage, I'd imagine, but it's a little bit unlucky, I suppose, leaving him on just the 10 HP that he's got, but that does now mean that tunnel is in the hands of the Swarm. The holes are now being made above Pulse's head in the kitchen. Will give them a false sense of security as they think they're safe, but here comes the Demo Mozzie. Round one side, picks up the first kill, looks for the second kill, gets them both, and once again the attacking Swarm has been thwarted by their negligence and not paying attention to where Demo might be coming from. Parkinson's, though, does trade one back, but there's a second push from NP. Temp NP pushing in from that tunnel with no health and actually gets control of the site for his team. Demo now out of position, has rotated all the way through the tunnel. Temp NP falls down, but Niall inside will pick him off, and there's a quick flick around from Parkinson to punish Demo on the flank without taking too much damage himself.
Wow. Demo dies. What an embarrassment. Now, Niall, it's all down to you with 30 seconds on the board. It's a 1 versus 2. You have a Nomad. The diffuser is not in a position where they can get it. You take a charge to the face, but there's nobody to pick that up. You have a very, very good gun. The worry here is your eye line. They're trying to get the diffuser down. It seems like he's unaware of this, but you've got to have some idea that they are playing something like this. There it is, post-plant, and Nomad is holding the angle out in the open and out in the corridor. The Swarm bring it back to a 1-1.
Well played then from the Swarm after losing what looked to be a catastrophic set of players in the kitchen. They managed to hold on and get themselves back into that footing through the push from tunnel. Didn't quite see where the other player, where the Nomad made their way in, but after IQ got out of there, they had control of that site and they stabilized well. Even then, with the flank coming through, Demo unable to get those shots through the shelving unit and being punished for it by Parkinson's, sets the scoreline at 1 round apiece, and we'll of course now see another attempt at that from the Bears to defend the Church and Arsenal. What I want to see from the Swarm this time around, however, is to do better when taking control of the upper floors, when finding that Roma, when finding the Mozzie, when controlling those flanks that might come in, because you can't keep letting him get away with these 2-3 kills on the flank. He will continue to punish you if you let him.
And that's the thing about what Demo did there as well. He really didn't have to try and get those bodies on the point. It was a 2 versus 2 at that situation. The Maestro was still there, sure, but he knew where the diffuser was, and he could have maybe potentially held on to kitchen if he wanted to, but he could have also rotated upstairs where he was, where he had a hole open onto the diffuser.
The smarter thing, he says, inverted commas, would have been to stay on the floor above. They hadn't stroned him, they didn't know he was there, and simply shoot thermite charge off that trapdoor when he tried to plant it. They then would have known he's there, yes, but then they would have had to go and find him. They would have had to burn more time. They'd had to waste. The risky play, yes, it looks great on camera. He comes down, he picks up 2 kills. Woo, go me! But if he'd have died then, they'd have just carried on as normal and their team would have been down an extra player. But if he'd have just shot the charge, it would have stalled them out and taken a lot more time off the clock. So yeah, he got away with it and it worked out for him, but was it the right play?
Well, even then, the play after as well.
Yeah, the play after.
Once he got those 2 kills, he could have just gone back up. Could have gone back up, used the hole he had, and held onto it from that point of view. But again, he, wanted to try and push back, save the people on the point, and well, let's see if Demo gets a little bit more contested the second dance round.
Now, this time the Swarm did bring a Hibana to the table as well as the Thermos. They've got far more breach opportunity, and they should have a little bit more mobility as a result. So that makes me happy for them. They also have droned a little bit more and seem to have found that Demo was around this time and are going to try and do something about it, or at least try and do something where he can't impact their play. He does use that hole from above and sees just enough of the charges from Hibana below to stop it making that hatch pop. I do believe it would have still made a little hole in it, but just not enough to open it completely. Now they have resigned to trying to find him and shake him out from up above.
Well, the longer he can waste on this, the more effective it can be. And that's the thing. That is the role that you're playing on that top floor is, yes, you can get bodies and get kills, but the time that you can take as well, which is the always ever-present worry for attackers. That's the big ask. Mozzie, though, dropped by Parkinson's for the second time in the row as they are able to get control, get the top floor. A trade comes back in, not entirely sure from where, though. It was a team kill. Oh, no. Didn't quite get him and is able to pick the man up, but seems to be struggling with the concept of windows.
I mean, I want to give him the benefit of the doubt and say it was an intentional reset, perhaps?
A very aggressive intentional reset.
Yeah, it was. So, okay. Back on his feet all the same. Buck is moving around once more. They are now pressuring this poor Mr. Plow from both sides. One coming from blue, one coming from the other side of the construction tunnel. C4 going off on the kitchen floor from Irish Ace, but will not land on anyone as he's picked the wrong spot. There's the pressure coming out from the tunnel, and the landing shots will be on Vanquish's side to take Mr. Plow down. And once again, the Swarm are doing good job taking control of this basement. There goes Irish Ace again. Only 2 defenders left alive, but they're 2 full health strong defenders. There's a lot of health missing on the attacking team in total, and Kraken takes down the first kill. He's not got much left himself, but he sprays through to blue, tries to keep them focused and keep their attention this way. Vanquish, however, will even it out once more by taking away that last full health remaining player on the defense, leaving just Jaeger with 4 to find.
Well, the diffuser's going down. I do question why a usual open wall there between the 2 points and the door, which will allow them just a little bit more control over what's going on inside, isn't utilized. And I guess it's a hard thing to kind of read into as the Irish Kraken gets dropped in the same corridor by a player that has really been pretty clutch so far for the Swarm. Parkinson's finding himself locking off another round there in a similar position and a similar kill in a similar kind of post plant. The Swarm put themselves a foot ahead after what was a pretty shaky first round. They seem to have found a little bit more momentum. CCTV is reopened though, and that is where we're going to head to next.
Swarm have got a good handle on taking control of that basement, despite ultimately not having a good job on controlling Demo upstairs. They got a bit lucky that time around, picking him off the way they did, but ultimately he did stop their breach on their kitchen. He did cause a bit of a nuisance for them, and they would have had a tougher time taking him out if he didn't peek into them. So, yeah. A little bit lucky on that front, but as soon as they got him out of the picture, they can take that basement with relative ease from the smoothness that they walked on in there. CCTV room crash, however, was a very different story, and now that they're back here, based on our previous rounds, I'm expecting this to even up the series.
It didn't seem like the Bears had really put too much of a hold inside blue towards Oil Pit. There was no real control there, and that was twice in a row that obviously we've seen from our perspective that the push has come from that side, that they've kind of done a little bit on the cross. They've gone with a bit of a split push from dirt and from blue. They've completely generally ignored the kitchen or the Moto hatch and the amount of pressure you can apply from there, and instead opted for this kind of other-centric style push. And well, you kind of want a bit more of a response. Unfortunately, and you might quote me on this, Demo cannot carry an entire team. The anchors have to have a bit of aggression in themselves as well. They've got to be able to bring the firefight a little bit further afield and a little bit further away from the point, because if it becomes this site-centric firefight, well, unfortunately, it means the attackers are able to get a little bit more solidity with their slightly more powerful guns. Credit to the Swarm, however, for swarming their way through. This, as we said and as we saw, though, didn't quite go their way the first dance round.
Okay, let's see what they choose to do with him this time around. The other thing to note is that with that double kill that he picked up at the start of the last round in the defended here, he actually managed to do that, walking down through 2 sets of barbed wire. So they should have heard him coming, and at the very least, after he failed to pick up the first kill on his first burst, should have at least been traded out after getting one of them. So need a little bit more of an awareness thing from the Swarm there, I think, but they were very much focused on getting that kill through the floor on the Bandit and making their way in through this wall. They are trying to do the same thing again, but the boot jammer means they will not be able to get their way in. One EMP goes down. They do force out a couple more batteries. Trying to make this play, but they're currently looking for a way to distract this Bandit, but they can't get past their own Claymore. Now, there's a very easy way to, especially with Zofia in hand, to get that Bandit shaken off that wall, and that would be to go to the window around the other side, open it up and fire it over the top, because now even without their Claymore there, they failed to get it through. But they did manage to pick the right wall, and the Bandit could not pick in turn to stop that thermite. So yeah, a little bit scrappy, but they get the wall open now with only a minute and a half to go. Nice shot to stop that D4 mid-flight, but they will immediately lose the Zofia on the edge of that balcony for their trouble.
Well, they obviously have the ability and possibility of withstanding, but the animation might put them a little bit into the firing line of the people that are on that top deck. Does get up with a bit of safety. The worry and question I have is why the diffuser is cold by the door. Maybe they just want to kind of leave it there and say, well, we're playing for guns now. Pay attention to the rest of us as Niall is going to rotate underneath and try and double up with Demo. They're cracking their way through to the garage as well, which is generally the second step of the many-step process of taking over and taking control of this point. The drones are gone. Niall is a bit more free roam, and well, there is Parkinson still rolling and still putting big bodies down and big work. There's one and there's two. Niall led straight into his spray and is able to find a really, really nice double there.
Does lose half his health to this thermite with a repeat, but is continuing the pressure and keeping them under fire as they try to come up the staircase. But TMP runs straight in through the breach. Does get taken out by Demo, but he baited Irish Ass for that kill, so Demo can't get all the credit. Kraken, however, will take off Sombrero Bloke, and Vanquish now tries to charge in from underneath. Does pick up that one kill, but is 1v2. Not a lot of health left on the Maestro, but Demo's full health, and he knows where he's coming because he's on the cameras the whole way. 15 seconds to go. There's barbed wire on the stairs. Demo can see him on the spot, and an easy step up and finish down to even out the scoreline. 2 rounds to 2.
Wow. Well, it seems like this is going to be a much better game than we saw in terms of intensity, because this has been tit-for-tat siege so far. 2 CCTV wins for one way and 2 Armory wins for the other. Are they going to try a different point? No, they are going to take Arsenal, sorry, not Armory. They're going to take Church, and Arsenal, no. I keep saying Gym Bedroom, and this is a pretty familiar Gym Bedroom hold, and I think that's, you know, part of the course what we're going to see. The Castle is going to try and lock down the gym windows. They're going to try and Bandit trick Jacuzzi Wall, as they have done. Well, and you do, and quite often do, try and hold onto, and then from that point onwards it becomes a little bit touch and go. However, it's a hard one to call this, because yes, it's a site that can kind of boil down to quick movement and quick gunfire and quick gunfights. Both these teams have shown the capability of doing that.
So this is exactly what we asked for in the slightly tighter match, in a back and forth scenario. So let's see then. How is your defense of this upper floor, Bear? I think it will be good. In all honesty, I think it'll be better than their basement defense. It does fit nicely with, of course, their CCTV cache defense, which they're doing well. Question is, what does Swarm up out of this leads to deal with it? They've got double hard breaches again, and of course where Niall is reinforcing now is such an important hole to get open, and then the bathroom next to that secondary round. So we'll see how they can get through there, but again, it's slightly easier to do that this time versus where it was on CCTV cache, because getting that Bandit away from that wall is a little bit easier, especially as they have a sledge in hand, so they can break open the gym window. There's a few little things that require a lot less range and a lot less coordination with getting this one in, which will slow them down if they take too long doing it, but ultimately shouldn't be too much of an issue for them.
What you see pretty commonly as well with this site nowadays is a bit more of an extension towards the CCTV cache site. They'll put some reinforcers up there, they'll try and hold it and hold that first wave of aggression at that point for as long as possible. But it's not often doubled down with the castle strategy. As I said, it's kind of like the old school versus new school of siege, as we find ourselves transitioning with all the new gunners that have gunned their way into the hearts and minds of the comp community. they kind of started breaking these strategies apart. And I guess it's whoever can find the upper hand here. Irish Ace is going to try and dig in inside Cash Room, but as we saw there, there's no hard reinforcers to double down. It is purely and surely just a battle of guns and soft destruction as Demo dances around central stairs to stop the pace from there.
So Sledge has opened up this one wall. We saw the EMP go off next to the bandit trick, which took around one battery, but also destroyed the trophy system that was placed there. So that's why if you're going to play that point at this point, you actually kind of need to have the Jaeger stay there and juggle those placements. Maestro being taken out by Sledge from that window with a tight angle across to the other bedside. The grenade will go deep in towards where Bandit was sitting, will blow, but doesn't actually manage to get the wall open, which is what he's trying to do. Sends a second one on in. This will open up the wall, and now Bandit cannot keep tricking that if he wants to stay alive and safe. So C4 from Mr. Plow opens up the window that leads an angle onto the gym window, and he's now responsible for keeping Niall safe. Will the peek from Sledge be punished, or will it be successful? The peek comes in. He does see the bandit still there, but there's no damage that really comes his way from Mr. Plow in the other room. Oh, that wall didn't actually break. It looked like it did. Sorry,
yeah, I thought it looked like it did as well, but maybe it just hit one of those drops in one of the open holes before, and it's really a struggle getting Niall out, and they're going to have to pull off, as we can see them doing, apply pressure on logistics and construction instead, and just put something against the defense, because at this point, with 50 seconds on, there's still so much left for the attackers to do. Demo rotated back round to the red stairs on the opposite side. He is in a fantastic flank position here if he goes undetected, and Plow is going to make sure that it's slowed, but Temp is there to balance back and take out Mr. Plow. Demo is now going to start to collapse and careen his way back towards the point. If he can get in behind this Hibana, this could be absolutely monumental, but is more concerned about the windows for now as they start to instantly flood and swarm as they push in, and Temp finds another. Demo, you've got to act now, and you've got to act well. You have the Hibana a little bit in front of you, but they seem a bit aware. No, they do not. Demo finds Hibana, and that is not only a big carrier, a big gun, a really big bit of utility. Niall as well dug in as the double team of the Irish lads find it, and the Bears find themselves back in the lead.
There is that defense, and it all came down to trying to get that wall open. Ultimately, once Sledge could not get that second grenade to crack open the castle barricade, they were out of ideas. They couldn't get in, they couldn't get through that wall, and they had no other time left. And yeah, okay, Temp managed to actually push a fair way in to the site through that other angle, but because they didn't have the time to properly drone it, properly check it, properly cover his flank, Demo was easily able to step in behind and punish him for that unawares.
This game is starting to stretch a little bit. Starting to stretch into Temp and Parkinson's versus Demo and Niall. It's a 2 versus 2, and everybody else seems to be along for the ride, and it's really boiling down to who is getting that kind of other frag pair down first, because from that point onwards they're so comfortable and so confident in being able to push and push further and more aggressively. 3-2, a 3-3 split with this kind of setup of operators leading into Swarm defense. Well, that's a good position for the Swarm to be in. 4-2 is what the Bears kind of need to give themselves that semblance of control and balance, because, well, this is Clubhouse. It's often seen as quite defender-sided, and so far the Swarm, they've been very, very tied together in terms of what they're running.
Be interesting to see why Demo switched to Bandit for this room this time around. It was in a strong position as the Mozzie before, and as you mentioned, the control of the drones, the lack of them searching around is all great. The Mozzie can do that. Bandit doesn't quite have the same power, but they weren't using it. They weren't actually trying to find him. They weren't hunting him down. So the Mozzie utility wasn't really being used so well. So perhaps that's why. But this is my follow-up: is that was it instead that he's actually going to try and stop this breach up this end, because the kitchen breach was proving not to be so much of an issue.
Well, this is what we kind of noted, was they pretty consistently and, you know, locked down this open on dirt and then pushed and put pressure across from the opposite side as well. But it seems like for the first time, they're not. They're going for this top clear, and Niall is the one that's going to open the fire across here from Oil Pit and dance across, because, well, this was at least half of the push that the Swarm like to bring against the Bears. Niall is, well, he's not quite landing as many bullets as he wants to, but he does find the one on the swing. Oh no, there is the trade. Parkinson's, we talked about being a big player, and he's proving it now, but Mr. Plow gets sombrero bloke.
quick trade back. They think there's just the one roamer to take care of, but it turns out there are multiple. Temp does use this opportunity to get the kitchen open, but their attack has slowed significantly once more as they are down to 3v4. Mr. Plow still in this position where he held on too firm from before. Temp gets this second hatch on open now in towards blue, but ultimately that hatch is not particularly useful these days, considering the access to blue is far easier than it once was. Demo yet to be found, as far as we can tell on the drones, is still... Sorry, it wasn't Demo, it was whoever...
Irish Ace.
Irish Ace, yes.
Yeah.
The Valkyrie running around inside the bar, and could in fact come up here and punish Temp, who's still crouched above this hole, unawares to the Valk coming around behind him.
Do you know what I kind of...
Milliseconds.
Yeah, the weird swing here is it seems like Demo's gone, well, this time I'll be the anchor and you four roam, and it's kind of working. As Irish Ace, I believe, maybe finds his first frag or second of the game. Temp is trying to push down blue and keep the dreams alive as it, well, he is the only dreamer left. Sees the Maestro on a rotate, hit by the Legion on the corner of the leg, and in a 4 versus 1, you're in the bottom of a pit. They are all around you and the diffuser isn't even in your hands. Oh, this doesn't look like a great situation for Habana.
No, it does not. She is pinned in on every angle. Irish Ace is going to be there at the top of the ladder any second now. No, he's actually going the long way around. Irish Kraken is up close. Here comes Temp. Who's going to win that firefight? Temp does. Oh, it gets a double as Mr. Plow lines up, actually. Does he look the other direction? He does. Can he see him in time? He sees him, but doesn't land the shots. Tries to push into sight, but the bleed out is there from the Legion mine. The goo ticks on through. And with 1 HP, Temp has 2 to find. Bandit throws up against his wall, which would have been the right spot. He just wasn't quite close enough, but up through the floor is Irish Ace, and there's that 4-2 round you asked for the Bears to put themselves onto the other half and onto the attack with that significant lead.
I mean, you've got to give credit to how they kind of responded to what was going on. Swarm, for the most part, seemed like they'd gone with a second strategy, which was to just put all of their pressure on Oil Pit, put all of their pressure on blue, and, well, because of the change-up of Bears they were already in a position where they went, well, they've been pushing this way the past 2 rounds. We can just apply more pressure back. Let's take the fight there. Let's go on the upper rungs. Let's ignore the other side. As you said, they weren't really going for kitchen. They weren't looking for the Mozzie upstairs. They were very much blinkered towards where they wanted to be. And, well, it seems like the Bears were able to come out of hibernation just in time before the split. 4-2, though. They're on the attack now. And, well, it's not the easiest map to attack. Kaid on the board alongside the Mute means that they're going to play some pretty hefty denial here. Demo and an Ash.
Yeah, we expected it. It's going to be drone in for me and I'll charge in and kill them all, which, to be honest, might work because, yeah, as you mentioned, the change-ups there, the Swarm were looking for a slow, steady, organised defense and were prepped to attack it in similar fashion, but the Bears just didn't want to do that. They're like, you know what? We've tried it that way. We're just going to be a bit more fluid, a bit more crazy. And that's exactly what worked for them. They pushed. They were more aggressive. Their roamers were hiding in more unexpected places, and they picked up peeked from unexpected spots and really caught the Bears, the Swarm attack off guard. But now it's how the Swarms could benefit from most. They like to be that strong, regimented, organised play, and that really is what defenders can thrive in.
3 drones around that hatch, and I think they were all asking the same question I was kind of asking there, was please tell me they're going to reinforce that hatch. Or, well, please tell me they're not, because otherwise that would be a very swift entrance directly into the heart of point that we see Na'Vi generally kind of, well, they know how they want to lock that down, and they know where they want to go from that point onwards. The Jackal is going to try and control the spaces, otherwise they look like they're going for that general push, take control of Gym, take control of Bar even, and then get your way through the hatches and get your way down against the church wall and the Moto corner.
So now it books in through the back, Ash books in through the bar, and will be droned in as expected by a couple of names. A couple of drones overlapping back and forth either way here at the moment, so perhaps not the most effective use, but as Demo aggressively pushes in, pre-fires a couple of corners, will then have to switch it up and drone for himself. And as we can see, but they are fast finding out, there are 4 members of the defensive team, 5 members of the defensive team down in the basement holding firm.
It's peculiar even seeing Demo rely on so many drones, including his own, because I thought his favourite thing in the world was Secret, but well, he's trying to find all of them and root them all out at this point as he pushes his way down towards the stairs. They're instantly and consistently pinging that hatch as we said they would, and as we said they wanted to. Demo wants to take this opening firefight against the staircase. Obviously, as you pointed out, there's 4 bodies down below. The 5th is in dirt as well, so they've gone with a completely flat hold here, which if there's a point you can do it on, it's this one. It's a very, very wide point, but it does mean that this map clear has allowed them a minute 40 now to start to apply this pressure down below. There's the impact trick hole. There's an angle for Demo to push against, and he's just steadily taking more and more real estate as the Sophia is comfortable and confident enough to double down.
They've opened up a couple of hatches now, so I'd expect him to go up and start to think about dropping through one of those now as the rest of the attack comes firm. But we're getting C4s going off, explosions coming in through the kitchen, floors trying to be destroyed from below as more and more hatches are opened. And at this point, Swarm just look like they're holding steady while the Bears are scrambling around a little bit, trying to find a pick here and there. The Irish Ace spots that Valk camera on the wall as the Thatcher charge, the EMP had opened up. Nile picks up the first kill of the round, setting the defenders down 1. Thermite charge is now going to go on the wall. They're going to try and spam him through that bloke, and it is Sombrero bloke to pick up the kill. But the thermite charge will continue to go off and he'll be downed into trouble. But as the pistol greed is there, Parkinson's will take Demo out. Now, 4 defenders still on their feet to only the 3 attackers, but the wall did get opened up into Church, and they're going to try and look for an angle into there. Irish Kraken around the backside as Plow picks up Sombrero bloke with a quick trade back there from Parkinson's onto Kraken. Will get the numbers back in favour of the Swarm on defense. 2 attackers left standing with 20 seconds to go and the diffuser in hand. They're starting to push their way into the Church while all the defenders are in the A site. That means the plant is going to start to go down. Mr. Plow on his own trying to defend it while he's distracted for 7 seconds, and they get it down and get back out of the site to defensive positions of their own. Allowed to go all the way into the staircase as the C4 checks the defuse spot. Mr. Plow picks up the first kill for the attackers, but the diffuser itself is actually technically open at this point. Mr. Plow's got to flank around, but Vanquish is looking the wrong way, and they're all rotating on top of each other. Parkinson's gets the angle on Plow, but Plow's looking the right way first. Niall now knows he just has to watch this corridor. Vanquish, however, gets across through that gap, finds the first man inside the site, takes him down, looks for the second in the corridor, can't land enough pistol shots, goes back for another tire, still can't get enough down, goes to the reload and continues the chase. He's now right outside this breach. The impact nade is there. He knows he's got to stick it, peeks around, but just enough time to tuck away. Niall, has he done enough? As the diffuse hold goes in, Niall thinks about it, waits for his moment, and does pick it perfectly to slide on in and stop that defuse.
That was so insane, I accidentally knocked my phone off the desk. And I don't know if that was heard in the broadcast, but what? That was insane. That was, everything was thrown at each other. Nobody knew where anybody was. One of the things that I was thinking of the entire time, if there was a break in play, was they left the default cam up for such a long time that they lost 2 players to that default cam that was spotting them on the backside of the church wall, and then nobody had any information, and everybody was running around with pistols, and the diffuser was down, and the Bears managed to find it. You've got to give credit to them being able to get in there and get the plant down there. And wow, that was a very, very hectic way for that to turn. We're going to head back down to Church, and what I kind of want to see from the Swarm at this point is a little bit more presence anywhere else on the map. Because as we said, with a minute 40 still on the board, the Bears had everything. They were completely flooded against the Swarm, and the Swarm looked, well, not really much like a Swarm, more like a singular bee.
More like a singular bee. Wasn't a whole lot of sting in that swarm.
No.
So the Bears now, with that 3-round lead, got to be feeling pretty good about themselves. It was not the worst 5-man basement hold we've ever seen from the Swarm, though, to be fair. And I've got to admit, I would have liked to see them potentially put one of those 5 players inside the church a bit deeper, or perhaps inside the underneath that moto area. Yes, the hatch was open. Yes, they were aware of that. But once you know that they weren't coming through dirt because the round had gone so deep, you kind of can afford to give that up a little way, and then having someone play that little bit more aggressive. Because you think about where the thermite was, you think about when they got the wall open, they were spraying it from one direction, and you did have a lot of information on where those players were. You could see that the hatch was open, and having someone in that church area to just make a dart out and make a big play into there could have changed that round dramatically. But you know, these are all things I get with hindsight, and that's why I get to be a caster.
Well, that's it. It's always there. We have this idea of looking down upon them. These are the little mistakes, and this is where a good team can kind of separate themselves and become a great team, is being able to pick on this stuff, which is what we hope to see these guys develop more and more. And to be fair, both these teams have shown a pretty good understanding of that so far. They've been able to adapt and been able to shift towards some of the changing tides. I would say the Bears more than the Swarm at this point, but well, the scoreline kind of represents that, as we saw the 2 losses then turned into a point win, or a site win, which is now doubled down by them taking it on attack 2. The droning is coming out. They're preparing themselves for a potential change in the tides from Swarm and making sure that they don't fall for the same traps they tried to spring against their opponents. And, well, it seems like they're pretty comfortable and confident and want to start doing the close down and the hatch.
Yep, they droned up the top. They know the floors above it clear. They know this floor is clear. They've got their banner to open up the kitchen hatch, and once again they're starting to aggressively push down that front staircase. They get a little bit scrambly down here when they first came on through. Demo spots a man going across, and now he knows that he's exposed underneath that moto hatch. They're going to start to crack it on open, or they're going to try, but that is the man. There we go, Sombrero Bloke trying to hold on to his Grismop. Not Grismop, that's Ella. Trying to hold on to his electrical charge.
Similar shapes.
But will not succeed. But also does manage to get out there with his life intact. Demo could not pick off the shots in that tight angle. So now that moto hatch is open, and notice the severe difference is made in the timing here for the Swarm. Still not actually managed to pressure the site like they did last round, and with 40 less seconds to make this push.
Well, Niall is going to try and creep on down towards the church wall and get it open. As we said, this is generally how Na'Vi likes to do it, and they're going to replicate that. But the C4 from deep over the top, there is the catch, and there is the fish of the day. And it's unfortunately the ash of Demo. Mr. Plow gets a refrag and gets the trade as they take control of Moto, and they're starting to apply pressure on the cross. There's the man close on the left. Thermite, don't take this fight, please. Get open the wall you need to get open before you try an entry. I know you're holding this, but this is Smoke's home. And, well, they're just going to try and lock it down as Mute instead, but they just swim in and swan in, and there is 2 quick kills.
They set him up against a shotgun, but it wasn't enough. But Parkinson's cracked up 2 now. It is now 2v1. Sorry, 2v2, as Jaeger is still alive with very little health. Plant goes down in the back of the site. He knows the Thermite's there, but couldn't quite land the shots. It is a tough angle, but Parkinson gets his 3rd for the round, and now he's looking for Niall. He knows what corner he was tucked in. He's going to have that call from his team. Sees the head, but can't pull the trigger. Niall secures it and puts the Bears on map point.
Very, very well played there. Yet again, they got in and got the plant down, and you know, to be fair, I was a bit surprised they managed to get past the shotgun holding that tight angle. That really, well, it just shouldn't happen, really. That is, if there was a single place for that specific gun to be at its best, there it is. And unfortunately, you couldn't quite find the trigger on it. And they, well, swept past you and put themselves on match point. CCTV and Cash, I think it's a fair change to try and take themselves to a different place as their final hold. But even if they take this, well, then they've got to, well, potentially find their way back down to the basement on the next or the one after.
So, switching it up might be what it's taken, but I'll admit this site is not an easy hold. It comes down to a few very technical pieces. It comes down to a few very finicky little holds. And the Bears are looking a little bit more disciplined, a little bit more organised when it comes to cracking open those spots here. As we saw from the last one, say Temp lying prone with that shotgun should have easily taken out at least the first man to come through that doorway, but didn't quite land that shot. And those are the kind of things that you really do pay the price for. It could have easily changed the face of that round, and if that happens again here, that's even worse when it comes to the fallout. Parkinson's did what he could picking up that triple kill last round, but he's not necessarily going to be there this time, and once the attackers do make their way in, it's very hard to dislodge them here.
I know, and that's the kind of thing about it, is what we've seen so far, as I said before, from both these teams, is it's been very adept. It's been very good. The kind of synergy between what they want to do and when they want to do it has generally, for both teams, as I said, been very, very kind of step for step and beat for beat. They know when they have to do a reshuffle of strategy. They know when they have to do the mid-round rotation if things aren't quite working out. However, it seems like the Bears are just that one step ahead of it. They're a little bit more aggressive, a little bit more sure-footed when they need to be, and so far the Swarm have just tried to, well, they make those mistakes that you occasionally see Empire make. Very occasionally, true, but the recent swing was one where they didn't quite make the ground on SI. They did, and that's because they don't have that new energy that this game kind of requires, and which the Bears are able to bring, as Bandit is instantly downed and unable to try and do any more tricking. Demo gets the kill with the X-Kairos. Oh no, he's going to boast about that.
He was downed already, Demo. It was Ash that put him down from underneath. Your Kairos didn't really do much. Calm down.
Can only,
Just gonna make that clear now.
imagine the comms right now. But an X-Kairos kill is going to fill a man with energy you do not want filled with energy, as Temp well, him and, well, his partner in crime, Parkinson's, are going to have to try and pull this back into the firefight. They are the two guns that have been able to keep firing against the Bears so far, and you've got
this is where I mentioned it's going to be a struggle now for the Swarm. Once you let the attackers a little way into this site, it becomes very easy for them to pick you apart. But Temp is doing what he can to try and level it back by picking up the first kill for the defenders. With a couple of holes open, I would have liked to see the Bears potentially push this harder, but they haven't really, and that might be what it's taken for Swarm to get resettled and to hold themselves back in, because the Bears, yeah, got these holes open, got the big important walls open, but now have slowed it all down again. So this could be that respite, and Temp does it again, picking up a second kill, really helping to cement these numbers back into an even footing. With only a minute to go now, 3v3 and Temp back on site. Mr. Plow does pick up one more kill for the attacking team, but will then take a lot of damage onto Demo before he, picks up the last two, and ends the game, just like that. I did not think he'd get that second kill at all. He did well to get this one with the down, but hitting 1 HP out of it. But the second one is quick and swift to seal the Swarm's fate.
Well, 7-2, and you've got to give credit to both teams. I don't think the scoreline is as tight as the game was, but a lot of that falls down to obviously the rest of the team. Unfortunately, couldn't quite live up to those two talisman players that we saw in the hands of Parkinson's and Temp, who were consistently battling back, and they'll lose the first foot and go back against it. But hey, I think both teams really gave a good showing today.
Yeah, no, it was definitely the game we wanted, the game we asked for after that first one. Something a little bit more scrappy, a little bit more interesting, a little bit more back and forth, and we had it there. And yeah, the scoreline makes it sound more one-sided than it was. There were moments of brilliance, moments where those Swarm players are picking up 2-3 kills, but it's just a little bit too far gone before they came in. And a couple of rounds that went really down to the wire run, especially, of course, with that Ring Around the Roses in church and that diffuser that really could have gone either way. So Swarm are definitely a team to pay attention to and keep an eye on towards the top of that table for the rest of that group.
Wow. That is our two games for this evening. Obviously, one a little bit more intense than the other, but this is the nature of the beast. As we get closer and closer and these scoreboards start to really define themselves, we'll start to see the Bears and, the teams that they might have kind of struggled more against, like the Leviathans, find more equipment in their equipment bags, and the Hunters might find a bit more pressure from other teams, and, it all builds towards that I-66. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me. It's been a refreshing step back into it.
Was it a joyous way to come back in? It was a good evening.
I got to flame Demo a bit.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of irritating. He played.
Yeah, it's irritating that he did well. It's irritating that he won, but it's
unfortunately you can't change the stuff. And the one silver lining to that is we're not in his comms right now, especially after the X-Kairos kill. I have been Fluke. I have been joined by Panky. Siege will be back again next week. Same time, same place. We are back to our weekly schedule as we build our way closer to I-66. Thank you, everyone, for watching, and we will see you next time.